Good day and welcome to Dub's Paradise. I'm Dub, short for Big Dub. And remember, don't constantly correct people, and especially don't jump on them when they make a mistake. Today we're going to talk about yesterday's Champions League results, preview today's Champions League matchups, talk about Indian Wells, and get into some more NFL talk. So, yesterday in the Champions League, it was a pretty entertaining couple of games, I gotta say. I had my eyes glued to the screen for a few hours, to say the least. So, I thought that Barcelona and Napoli would go to penalty kicks, but Barcelona playing at home, they handled Napoli with no problem. Napoli, they came out, and I guess the atmosphere in Spain was too much for them. They played pretty well, but Barcelona scored one quick goal, then they scored a goal like 2 minutes after, and by then it was already too late. Napoli scored, but it wasn't really close because they had to score another goal, tie it up, and it was just tough in Spain to win those games if you don't have the quality, if you don't have the finishers needed to score the goals. Everyone mentioned Osimhen, but I didn't really see him on the pitch. He had some chances, but didn't really take them. Meanwhile, Nicholas Jackson is great in Chelsea, but that's just bias. Who cares? But yeah, Barcelona scored a late goal, and that really wrapped it up. Napoli was kind of pressing forward, trying to tie it up as soon as possible without having to stress out too much, but they couldn't do it. I'm not a big fan of either team. I don't like spending time talking about either team because I'm not sure if either of them is going to win the Champions League. But they're historic teams. So Barcelona has their fair share of Champions League wins, Champions League championships wins, and I'm not too sure how many championships in Champions League Napoli has, but they're a historic team too. But yeah, of course, Napoli or Barcelona moved on rather easily. Sometimes my nose is feeling better, and sometimes it's just clogged up again. And right now, it's back to be clogged up after it was pretty clear for like before I started recording this. But I'm okay. That was a good game to watch, but an even better game to watch was Arsenal versus Porto yesterday. Arsenal managed to get one goal before halftime, and that was pretty pitiful considering they were at home, considering Porto doesn't have that much good players as Arsenal does, and considering Arsenal is just a team that's supposed to be better, supposed to be dominating, and they managed to score only one goal to tie it on aggregate, and they went to extra time, couldn't score, and then finally went to penalty kicks where they dominated penalty kicks because Porto's players, I guess they too much pressure, not enough skill, and Arsenal's players made it look easy. Who scored? Like Odegaard scored, Kai Havertz scored, Bukayo Saka scored, Declan Rice scored. Those guys should have scored during the game to make them have fewer questions about their performance. But they scored in a penalty kick, so that's all that matters. So now they're moving on to the quarterfinals. And they might get beat there if they struggle to beat Porto in the round of 16. It seems like Arsenal just wants to win the Premier League because they can win those games pretty simply, but when it comes to Europe, they struggle, even if they're at home. So it's pretty sad. The coach for Porto mentioned that Mikel Arteta, the coach for Arsenal, turned to him on the bench and was saying some things in Spanish. He was saying some things in Spanish about his family, etc., etc. And then the coach for Porto said that Arteta should manage his team better because they have a lot more skill than Porto and they should have won that game rather easily, but instead it went to penalty kicks. And honestly, I was hoping that, like, I was like, Arsenal, if you're going to score, just score already. Like, we're tired of watching you just do nothing. And then when it was penalty kicks, I was like, let's see what happens. And of course, Arsenal won. It would have been unrealistic, I guess, if they lost in the round of 16, so they had to move on. But quarterfinals is a whole different beast. So today, Dortmund is going to be playing PSV. That should be an exciting game. They're tied up 1-1 on aggregate. So I think Dortmund, they're playing at home and they're gonna win that game. They might score 2 goals, might win 1-0 on aggregate, or might win 3-1 on aggregate, or 3-2 on aggregate. I would say they're gonna win 2-1 today, so that'll be 3-2 on aggregate. You got great players on their team like Karim Adeyemi, like Darnell Malen, Ian Matson. You got Schlotterbeck. You got Kobel and Net. Great players. They have a great defense. They got a passionate home crowd, and they should be technically, skill wise, better than PSV. So I would say they'll win that game 2-1, and they shouldn't have to worry about moving on. And I hope they play Arsenal in the quarterfinals, because that should be. I mean, unless Champions League is corrupt, like everyone says it is, or who knows? Didn't hear it from me. If it was Dortmund versus Arsenal, like Dortmund should probably win that game, win that match, or win that tie, as they say, or as it's called. I'm looking forward to it though. The other game is gonna be Milan versus Atletico Madrid, and Milan is up 1-0 on aggregate, but today they're on the road to Spain, and it's gonna be a tough game for them to hang on to. But like, honestly, I gotta do more research on like these kind of teams like Milan, Atletico, Barcelona, Napoli, because I don't follow Series A, I don't follow La Liga except for Real Madrid because of Bellingham and everyone else on their team. But I guess based on last year's history, Milan is a better team. They're already up 1-0. I think they're leading Series A right now, so they might manage to win that game, but maybe it'll go to penalty kicks again. I wouldn't mind that. It's always exciting. I mean, when I was watching Arsenal and Porto yesterday go to penalty kicks, I wasn't really stressing out. Like, my heart wasn't really beating because I don't have any loyalties to either team. It just would have been funny if Arsenal lost that game, but they won. I remember I was stressed out watching Chelsea's penalty kick against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup tournament. They won that in penalty kicks, but I was stressing out. Petrovic made some great saves, came up clutch, and our players scored the ball rather simply. Chelsea, I hope they do well next season. They're keeping on getting better. Next year they'll probably be inconsistent again, but they might be better inconsistent. Like, win more than they lose, not just win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw, lose, win, draw. Like that kind of. They might just be like win, lose, draw, win, draw, win. That sort of thing, I'm just making stuff up right now, though. So yeah, looking forward to these Champions League games today. football. I'm glad I started watching it because it's definitely exciting. I'm glad I watched. I've always watched the World Cup. Cheered for Germany most times. Canada, they're irrelevant in the world of soccer or football. USA, they're okay, but the women's team is better than the men's team at football. But I guess you can say soccer if you're talking about the Americans, but whatever. But this year is going to be the Euros, and since I've been exposed to new cultures, new languages, I'm always like Germany. So I cheered for them, but now I mostly cheer for France, cheer for England. So we'll see how they do. If it could be like a France versus England final, or Germany, I'd rather see France and England go further than Germany. But that's just because I'm biased. But I still love Germany. Don't get me wrong. But they could probably finish third, and I'll be happy. It's gonna be a pretty quiet day today. NFL, NBA, nothing much happening. Or, sorry, NHL and NBA, nothing much happening. Leafs are off till tomorrow, facing the Flyers. The Raptors, I believe, play tonight. They were up 68-48 at halftime against Denver Nuggets on the road, but of course they blew that lead. I think I already mentioned that yesterday, but it's a slow news day. It's a slow news day. Um, so yesterday, Indian Wells is starting to pick up now. We're starting to get closer to the finals, and fewer and fewer players remain in the bracket. And usually, the usual suspects are still pushing through. Yesterday, Stefanos Tsitsipas lost. I guess technically speaking, the round of 16 is a. I mean, I guess he would expect more from himself, but considering I thought he would lose earlier, but where I thought he would lose, he beat Tiafo. Like I said, another overrated player. So, and then this time, he got dealt with by a Czech named Leheshka, and he's ranked 32nd in the world, and Tsitsipas lost like 6-4, 6-3. So it really was no competition, which is not that good. Not still not a good look for him. I don't want to be a hater, but 32nd seed, gotta be better. So Tsitsipas, Tiafo gotta be better. We'll see what their next tournament is gonna be like in Miami, but it should be the same. Disappointing results. What else? The usual. Alcaraz moved on. Zverev moved on. And the popcorn matchup last night was Jannik Sinner versus Ben Shelton. And the first set went to a tiebreaker, which Jannik Sinner won. It was a pretty tight tiebreaker too, but Sinner won that. And then second set, Sinner had a much easier time. He rode through Ben Shelton 6-1 in the second set. So now he's out to the quarterfinals, and my pick to win is still in, Jannik Sinner. Now on the women's side of the bracket, Swiatek won her game easily. She's just rolling through as usual. Wozniacki, everyone goes on about how she's a mother, which is quite impressive. Took some time off, and she's been doing well at Indian Wells. And before that too, she was like a broadcaster, and then she made a comeback, so good for her. Hopefully Osaka can get the same success as she gets her feet under her and gets to have some more experience in the comeback. And besides those two, there were a couple of lower ranking seeds who moved on. So the 31st ranked Kostyuk from Ukraine moved on, and the 28th ranked Potapova from Russia moved on. Potapova has no flag beside her name, so she's either from Russia or Belarus. And this Dubs Paradise isn't about politics, but just give them their flags, you know? Just give them their flags. It seems like it's just petty behavior, just politics. It doesn't need to be done, but trust me, the people in charge are. It's just politics. But here we keep away from politics. Maybe I'll rebrand myself, or just do everything. Talk about politics. Talk about the Oscars. Talk about TV shows, books, etc. Instead of just sports, because I have a lot of opinions. Too many opinions. So today's round of 16 matchups in the Indian Wells tournament. Gail Monfils, still alive, Mr. Showman, playing number 9, Casper Ruud. The American Tommy Pauls playing the lucky loser, Luca Nardi from Italy. And remember, Nardi beat Novak Djokovic. That should be a good matchup for Tommy Paul. But maybe Nardi beating Novak Djokovic took too much out of him, and he just is going to be too exhausted to put up a good match against Tommy Paul. But I could be just biased to Americans, but we'll see what happens. I wouldn't mind whoever wins that matchup. It'd be a good game. So Medvedev is facing Dimitrov. That should be that's a matchup with two good players. Medvedev always goes far in tournaments, so he'd probably win that game. And then we have Taylor Fritz versus Holger Rune. And Taylor Fritz also doing well, previous Indian Wells winner. And I would hope that he's gonna win that game, because like I said, he's one of the more serious American players. Just been a bit unlucky having to face Djokovic all the time, and Djokovic is now out, so we'll see what he does. And since I began to watch tennis a couple years ago, Ruud and Rune, I wouldn't say they've been impressive. I think when I started, like, one of them was number 3, one of them was like number 5, and now they're like ranked number 9. I think Casper Ruud is number 9 and Holger Rune is 7th. So gradually they continue to drop, just like Tsitsipas, just like Tiafoe, and we got some stars coming up. It's gonna be, well, if Djokovic is being bit by Father Time, you're gonna see like Alcaraz, Sinner, Zverev, Medvedev, maybe even Taylor Fritz will get to the top 10. He deserves to be. And maybe even who else? Well, we'll see how this season goes. We'll see what happens at the end of Indian Wells. But Holger Rune and Casper Ruud are on ice, just like Tsitsipas and just like Tiafoe. So today on the women's side of the bracket, to see who gets to the quarterfinals, it's gonna be number 2 ranked Sabalenka versus the 23rd ranked American Navarro. Coco Gauff is gonna be playing Mertens, and Sakari is gonna be playing Party, French. And the other matchup, the players are quite unfamiliar to me, but it's 11th ranked Kasatkina versus unranked Yuan. And I believe, like, Kasatkina is either Russian or Belarusian, and Yuan is from China. So we'll see how that matchup goes, but I don't really have any favorites to win that game. I don't really know them too much, but I feel like Coco will win, Sabalenka will win. Sakari, I think she's had some disappointments over her past few seasons, so she might be stressed out today. If Pari made it this far, she can't be no slouch. And even though Sakari is 11th in the world, she could be, or is she 11th? Sakari is 9th, I think. Sakari is 9th in the world. Yeah, she is 9th. So that should be a good matchup for her, a good test to see where she's at in her career. It was a pretty quiet day in the NFL. There was a lot of moves yesterday. A lot of moves that happened after I even talked about the pot, like after I even posted the show. The first one was that the Bengals traded Joe Mixon to the Texans. And I mean, all these running backs that are moving teams are kind of old and kind of washed up a bit, but they still can be talented on the right team, it seems like, or they're trying to be. So Joe Mixon on a team like the Texans, who's up and coming, who has a good offensive line, they're a solid team. He might be very helpful. The Steelers traded Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have been bolstering their offensive line to, I guess, try to protect Bryce Young, but we'll see how he develops. I don't want to say he's a bust after one season, but he wasn't that impressive. And I've always had a thing against Alabama quarterbacks because they haven't really done well. I probably already mentioned Tua. He's probably the best from Alabama, and he's overrated. So it's no surprise to me that Bryce Young isn't that great. And an offensive line will give him more time to throw, but if he's not there talent-wise, it just could be a waste of money and a waste of time. Deontay Johnson, like, I feel like Carolina traded for him because they wanted to get, like, have that effect that, like, AJ Brown had with Jalen Hurts. But, or like, even Chicago, how they traded for DJ Moore for Justin Fields, but they had kind of a up and down season that was, like, if they get a good quarterback on their team, it's going to be insane for the Bears and DJ Moore. The Bears traded. Did they trade or did they sign? I think Atlanta. Well, Atlanta did get Darnell Mooney from the Bears, so now he's gonna be playing with Kyle Pitts, with Bijan Robinson, with Drake London, and Kirk Cousins. So they should have a good record. I have Darnell Mooney on my fantasy team, so hopefully, with playing with a real throwing quarterback, he can get some good targets, some good yards after the catch, and because Darnell Mooney had a good rookie season or like second year season, he had over 1,000 yards receiving, but then last 2 years, he kind of fell off, and that was unfortunate for me and my fantasy team, and for him, of course. There isn't that much major news going on besides that. MLB is going to be happening pretty soon as usual. I'm going to have an episode where I just give my predictions for the awards because I just have to. I want to see if I'm right when I'm looking back on these videos. So far, I've been relatively right, I would say. Not at everything, but like, what did I say? Well, about football, about Champions League, about Chelsea's games, like I was kind of right about those, I would say. In the NBA tonight, there's a couple of nationally televised games. There's going to be Denver on the road versus Miami on ESPN, 7:30, and there's gonna be the Lakers on the road at Sacramento on ESPN, 10 o'clock. Oh, Golden State is facing the Mavericks today. That should be a good game. So we could talk about those tomorrow, see those results, but until the playoffs start, it's not really fun talking about basketball because like it's just a regular season. Everyone's just waiting for the playoffs. Same with hockey. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about the Champions League results. See what happens between Dortmund, PSV. See what happens between Milan and Atletico. We're gonna see about the Indian Wells results. See who move on to the quarterfinals. Playing on Thursday. Tomorrow's already Thursday, but it's only 11 o'clock right now, so we have a lot of time left in the day. And if any more news happens in the NFL, we'll see about that. Hopefully these free agent MLB players can sign already. Like the season's gonna start pretty soon. Dodgers versus San Diego Padres in Korea. It's gonna start like next week, I believe. So hopefully, some like Blake Snell, especially Montgomery, could have signed. J. Martinez, like Blue Jays. What are you doing? We need players. We need players. We need pitchers. We need hitters. Just like spend the money. But it really is up to Vladdy, Bo, Springer, like Dalton Varsho. He could be better. Justin Turner, he is a good contact hitter. Wouldn't strike out that much, hopefully, but he is getting older every day, every season. I hate these quiet days. Like, what can I add for my show? Gotta think of things. Let's see who's here. My mom wants to do the backyard over the summertime, make it look nice. So the guys here to look at it and give us an estimate of how much it'll cost. Probably a whole bunch of money. But hey, if it looks nice, it looks nice. Too bad there's no Formula One race this season, or this week. I mean, it's always a long wait, but now that there's like football going on, but once there's gonna be international break, like everything is just comes together nicely. Today was kind of a short episode of Dub's Paradise. I hope I can do some longer things in the future, but if the news isn't that great, I don't want to be redundant. I don't want to talk about nonsense and just keep running my mouth. And I'm feeling a bit better. My nose isn't as stuffed up. I can breathe a bit better, but it's still not that great. Okay, so that was episode 7 of Dub's Paradise. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment any opinions, thoughts, what you want to see, what I should talk about. And remember to enjoy your day. Thank you for watching.